Cass was also thinking about starting up an OnlyFans page if there's enough interest.
Oh my.
Yeah, I can try and help you with that. I mean, who knows how much time we've got tonight?
Is it breaching the masquerade if there's a paywall?
You just know there's some poor second Inquisition intern who's just like, we have a belief that there's a kindred presence. Here's $50. Pay for a month of this man's OnlyFans. And it's just Cass reading books, like shirtless on their skin rug.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Sometimes giving like the wrong vehicle maintenance tips, like shirtless, and this here is the gas can, and he like pulls off like a carburetor.
Remember, when you're gapping your spark plugs, your little finger should be able to fit through the wire and post.
This is my favorite headcanon in the world now.
God damn it. If we ever play Hunters, we need that exact scenario to happen. We happen upon Cass's OnlyFans and we hunt down the coterie.
Perfection. So I guess that brings us to our content warning.
I was going to say we need a Cass content warning now.
Yeah, this episode may contain heavy thirst posting about Cass.
All right, I nominate Sal.
What,
All right.
Cass? No, we're going to deny us your dulcet tones.
I will. I'll force
Another
it on
time.
you later, Sam.
That's what the OnlyFans is for.
Did you see that look he gave you?
All right, here we go.
I think Sal's a fan already.
Yes, I am the only fan at the moment. I pay my $10 a month. Thank you very much. The following recording show takes place in the world of darkness and explores narratives of personal horror. This story is a work of fiction and is not official World of Darkness material. Many of the themes are portrayed from a place of empathy, but may be uncomfortable to some listeners. Episodes may contain coarse language, sexual content, mental and emotional abuse, violence, mental illness, and blood. Listener discretion is advised. Portions of the materials are the copyrights and trademarks of Paradox Interactive AB and are used with permission. All rights reserved. For more information, please visit worldofdarkness.com. Thank you for listening to Milwaukee by Night. We hope you've enjoyed the story thus far and invite you to like, follow, and/or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. By doing this, you will help support the show and get updates when our next episode goes live. If you'd like to be a part of our community, you can follow us on Twitter and join our Discord. Both of those links are in the show notes.
In the down there part. It's in the down there part. That's the official, what it's called, show notes. Disgusting. We don't take notes around these parts. Sorry.
And you may have heard reference to a podcast. Yes, we have a podcast.
Yeah.
Check out Spotify, look up Milwaukee by Night, and you'll be able to find us.
Yeah, they're
Nikolai, pretty high quality stuff.
Yeah,
Charlotte does it.
Yeah, Charlotte's put a real sort of professional touch on it. It's kind of hard to believe it's the same show sometimes, because when I spend time editing these for the VODs, but I don't cut out a lot because there's you can see people's facial expressions and you'd see the camera stutter way too much if I super chop it down. But
Yeah, I hack out like on average between 20 and 30 minutes per
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, a lot
Or
of
per
this,
session.
a lot of
Yeah.
this is gone. A lot of the filler, a lot of the vamping, and even a lot of the oohs and ums. So it's pretty awesome. But we'll do our player intros real quick, and then we'll get the ball going. We'll start kind of where I always do, which is in this part of my screen. It might be different on your screen. How's it going, Abby?
It's going pretty well tonight. There may be a dust storm on the way, but that's not going to stop me from playing our local Nosferatu, Pixie, who, look, yes, last night was a fluke. Really? I'm hoping tonight is better.
Interesting goings on. We'll save the recap for a little bit. But if people want to get a hold of you, you have a lot of RPG content going on these days.
I do. So you can find me on the Bird website at Enough of Abby, where I can be found doing a number of things. You can find me on Exquisite Corpse Presents as Melisande, the Queen of the Honeycomb, as well as on, soon enough, Rainbows and Razor Blades Productions, where I will be doing my first one-shot with the amazing Darts Relish, where we will be exploring my swampy little bingus and so much other stuff that right now there is a gun trained to my head. I can't speak about it. But all I'm saying is just give me a follow. Maybe even a like. I'm kind of funny on there sometimes.
Amazing. And you talk some indigenous issues and stuff too, which is pretty sweet. We need more
Hell
visibility there.
yes.
Right on. What's up, Charlotte?
Not too much. I'm doing well tonight. Getting ready to get into our game here. If you haven't caught on just yet, I'm Charlotte. You can find me on Twitter and other spaces at Foxfire22. That is FOXFYRE22. And lately I haven't been doing much. Been kind of keeping quiet. Finishing up a game development class. Last day tomorrow. We released our game today, so I've officially shipped a game.
You have like official video game credits now.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. Like, we made it in like a week and a half, but I shipped a game. So I can check off that box on the CVs.
See, that's like I'm technically like a professional writer because I have been paid any money at all for writing, right? Like I get to keep that in my resume. Doesn't matter if it's like a couple $100 here or there.
Yep.
Yep. See.
Yeah, and tonight I will be playing Sera, our new to the coterie Ellis. We're not sure yet.
Are we not sure yet? Oh yeah, might be.
We're not sure yet.
Yeah, we're not sure. Could be a plot twist down the line.
We're waiting on Ben to get back to confirm things. He'll know.
Yeah,
he knows everything.
See some blood.
Yeah. Speaking of knowing everything, how's it going, Scott?
My name is Scott. I'll be playing Ben Sahar, our Tremere. A lot to catch up on since I was visiting Chicago and hanging out with Sal Sire, learning about Abigail Winters, among other stuff, just other things. But
we might be.
Sal Sire is a good guy.
Yeah, we might be going into a few of those other things this evening because we kind of have a little bit of a time lapse to catch up on since you have missed. I don't want to make you feel bad, but I feel like you missed probably our two best weeks so far. Certainly, like you were there
It was the best because I wasn't there.
Well, no, it's just there was a firefight, right? Like.
Don't remind me. I'm so mad. I had this sword for so many episodes, and I haven't gotten to use it.
Don't you even have like a ritual to like keep it like to teleport it to you or something like that? The kind of thing that my my mage in Meiji Ascension would have gotten Paradox for was keeping a mini Mac 10 in a gun safe in the apartment, and then reaching into his coat and pulling it out, and like the ST would still hit me with Paradox even doing it though it was like plausible deniability. Speaking of bastard STs and mages, how's it going, Ty?
It is going well. That was a good segue.
Was that a good one?
Yeah, at least as far as I can make them. I am Ty at Fat Kid Sports on the Bird site, and I am Sal in this coterie. Once Hikata, now Caitiff by choice, and Lorax. So that's what I am, and that's what I do, and I speak for the trees.
Fantastic. And
someone has to.
And last but not least, my oldest friend in the world. How's it going, Sam?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. You are playing a character who is everyone's back in the coterie, provided you're not driving a car. Uh, who's that for us?
That's Cass, the Malkavian, and my internet presence seems to be growing as a result of this game, or possibly.
Starting an OnlyFans. There is, of course, you don't you have like no real presence, but some evil, duplicitous person in the coterie here. It could be any one of them staring at you. You have no idea. May have started an unofficial fan account for you on Twitter called Malkavian in Car. It pretty much just keeps a rolling tally of all the times Cass has killed something with a motor vehicle. And I believe the tally is, because of course as the ST I feel obligated to follow this burner account. I don't allow that to implicate me. That is circumstantial at best, but I believe a lot of other people follow it. So like it could be any one of them too. It's 3 motor vehicles, 3 werewolves, 0, and Pix -1.
In my defense, I was hungry, so.
which I guess. Speaking of hungry, I'm the storyteller. You see, once you start the bad segue train, you gotta keep going, and it until it derails.
Yeah, it's just like a Segway tour.
So I am the storyteller this evening. I am the magical Mr. Mephisto. I am a former Milwaukee denizen that has taken his love of his hometown, twisted it with all the little shadows I used to see, kind of in the peripheral of my vision, going through Milwaukee to turn it into this great story we will be guiding you through this evening. And to do our recap, Sera, Charlotte really wanted to, so we'll go ahead and let you do the recap.
Why, thank you. All right, so last week, Sal and I were driving downtown. I'm not sure where. I was in the back seat, couldn't see much. Then we tried to get a hold of Cass and Pixie because they were downtown. Something was going on. Tried calling them. They didn't answer. Not sure why. But as we're driving down, we almost went off the curb somewhere, went off a cliff down by a river or something. But once we got back on the road, we turned. There was a fucking werewolf. A fucking werewolf. Like, what the fuck is a werewolf doing here? Where did they come from, and why did I not know about them before? 2 nights into this is some wild fucking shit. So anyway, we get there, we park. Sal gets out, trying to fight the thing while Cass and Abby are trying to not attract its attention while it was nomming on some suspected Sabat.
I got a cool video in.
Yes. Yeah, we could play that back for posterity in the future.
Dead can't deny that they were Sabat anyway, right?
True. Hopefully we can get Decker to believe that they are, so I'm off the hook. So I tried to get their attention, honk the horn. That didn't work. So werewolves are easily distracted. I'll have to make a note of that for the future. Don't honk horns near them. They'll come after you. So he tossed the Sabat guy into the windshield. And the Sabat guy didn't get up. But then we were all out of the cars, and then Sal tried to wrestle the werewolf, and then Cass tried to wrestle the werewolf, and they tried stabbing him with their teeth, like eating the fucking werewolf. I thought we were limited to people. So they do a number on the werewolf, and then Pixie gets in there and tries to take a bite as well, and something happens to her. I end up having to save her out of a vehicle, but that may have happened afterwards, or was it before? No, I think it was afterwards. Yeah, I saved Pixie. Pixie went after the werewolf, and then something happened to her. But then there was more werewolves. Like out of nowhere, 3 more werewolves. And then there was other people with guns, and they just lit up the werewolves. 2 of them are dead. One of them got away. Pixie almost went after one of the guys that tried to help us, or Kid, or I don't know. How do you describe it when you have a minor who's a vampire? Is he a man? Is he? I don't know. It's confusing. I'll have to ask those questions later and see how that goes. But then, yeah, she tried to lunge at him, and I tried to stop her with some like shadow shit, and that didn't work. And here we are.
We are still sort of in the moment. Salvatore had this. Salvatore. The coterie would look around at this point as Sera's thoughts are sort of racing through in that sort of anachronistic manner that your memories can get scrambled, especially in moments of like passion and violence. And it's about this moment that the coterie realizes like Pix has sort of collapsed after that feed, that riding the lightning, right? Cass managed to sort of not lose himself in the come down, and Sera is, standing there frantic. But as you sort of like do the double take, at one point, Salvatore was standing there just kind of right near Pix, and just isn't. It's almost like watching a mirage fade. That sort of you're away from it, and you can see that heat shimmer on the horizon, and then you take that extra step, and it just melts, sort of sideways. Which brings us to Salvatore's perspective, in a place that still looks Milwaukee enough. You can see the that sort of juxtaposition between the old, buildings plucked from various points in time as different, immigrants sort of settled the area and brought their culture and their architecture with them. You can see the sort of revival periods of industrialism sort of interspersed throughout, and you can see the sort of attempt to modernize Milwaukee, these buildings around. Something immediately of note to you, Salvatore, is any Cream City brick building of sufficient age looks a deep, sort of shadowy crimson where you're standing. These almost like they're like absorbing whatever you'd call illumination in the Shadowlands, in the Umbra. And the rest of the terrain is sort of, like I said, it's Milwaukee enough, but everything just has a little bit sort of a washed out, sort of grayer hue to it, with these little wisps and distortions all sort of creeping all around it, and little sort of shadow forms clinging and wreathed, sort of ebbing and flowing, like almost like this sort of puddles of rain sort of working their way into the crevices and then receding a little bit, and sometimes reaching up like fingers and then back down. And it's all perhaps jarring to somebody who doesn't spend their entire unlife looking for this stuff. Now, Pixie, you're there too. And as we sort of closed on the scene last time, we can sort of see Pixie slightly discorporated, standing next to Sal. And, we had that moment where where Pixie looked down and saw her body, and her sort of her consciousness being sort of shunted out of it. From Pixie's perspective, you see all of this. But you also see beneath Sal's feet this, as opposed to the Cream City brick buildings that have this sort of like, dark, sort of shadowy crimson color. You see this like sort of pulsing, bright crimson, this scarlet sort of root structure coming out like from underneath Salvatore. And you see it sort of heading down until, heading down and back, like it's tethered to something and you can't really see where it goes, but these roots spread out with the main sort of couple veins that sort of head in one specific direction back toward what would be Hubbard Park if we have like an aerial zoom. You both are taking in this site. You can sort of swing around. You've been in Milwaukee long enough. You've had to haunt and roam these streets long enough to where you would make no mistake where the rave is. So much happened that night. A week, 2 weeks ago. Oh man, it feels like it's been a lifetime ago. You can see back sort of toward where the rave should be. Now, you can't make it out from this place nestled down downtown. But you make out the distinct silver strands reaching infinitely into the sky that Salvatore described that first evening, coming from that structure. So you see that where the rave should be. You also see sort of a little bit opposite that direction, this complete sort of blank spot. It's sort of blotting out the sky around it in a little bit of a dome. It's completely colorless. It is bereft of any shadows. It is a complete void zone, a null zone, if you will. Streetwise and intelligence, if you wish to roll it.
Would Pix be able to roll as
Yep.
well?
Yep, Pix, you're completely present. You're not physically
Hopefully.
here like Salvatore is.
And then sometimes you have bestial failure on your first roll of the night.
Oh no.
Salvatore is utterly convinced that is where the Discovery Center is, where the Milwaukee Museum is.
I got 2 successes.
With a bestial failure, I'm going to say you're trying to pinpoint where it is. You're like, that's, you're thinking, and then this voice comes in. It's just like, yeah, that fucking museum, right? And Pix with 2 successes, you know that's where the Marquette campus is, the university. Nationally renowned, decent basketball team, good scholarship program, and kind of known for churning out our reality's bloodsuckers, lawyers.
Yeah, Emily goes there. I'd be a little familiar with it, if just in passing.
Right. Now, they don't just have, obviously, a legal program. They have, history. They have philosophy, all manner of. It's it's an institution of higher learning. It spans a couple blocks, and sort of nestled downtown, right off a particularly busy interchange called the Marquette Interchange. Incidentally, but you notice this sort of blotting out, sort of coming from over there, from your perspective. I mean, you can see it again. It would go infinitely up into the sky. It almost would appear as a dome over the whole thing. And so you get like just sort of this semi-spherical portion of it where it blots out the buildings that you should be able to see and stuff. And it's just this null dome, essentially. And the last sort of things you're taking in before we maybe let the agency return a little bit and then skip around some more, is that there are these perforations all about you, everywhere. It's like scars on the very walls, the streets, the air. Reality is cracked and perforated in no seeming logical manner. At all angles, these tears, these marrings, all over Milwaukee. And as you've sort of managed to take in the sight of these sort of infinite, tinsels of silver from the rave and this sort of null dome that goes, infinitely up into the sky, you Now find yourself looking at the sky itself as you trace around these scars. And you see the sky's sort of got this version of Milwaukee reflected back down toward it. And it's like looking up into a cracked mirror. And all those cracks where this sort of shadow light refracts bounces down and paints these scars over the city of Milwaukee. The sky is like a mirror, a busted one, a distorted one. And then that draws your gaze to Lake Michigan. Almost disembodied, you can see beyond the buildings above them. You see that Lake Michigan is a mirror. Black. Endless. It's a horizon unto itself. Just this ink, this tar, shifting with waves, and where they should crest and break on things, you expect to see a little white foam tops, and no, just throws off shadows and wisps like ocean spray. And then you see, somewhere nestled downtown, little tributaries, little streams. They come out from Lake Michigan. Some of them stay black. They go and gather in little pools and ponds underneath the Ambassador Hotel. Under a couple other places we might note later. But there's one. It's clear, silvery still. A perfect sort of ellipse of silver, of reflection. Somewhere deep in the heart of downtown, somewhere underground. Pix, you immediately think, almost reflexively. Maybe you and your beast say at the same time, Emily.
Emily.
And then you're back, kind of this out of body experience for both of you, where you sort of taken the full breadth of Milwaukee, from this sort of shadow plane. From Umbra. You have agency. Sal, you're standing there. Sal, you don't notice the roots. It's like you don't notice when you're breathing type thing, you know. But you notice everything else.
And Sal is,
Okay.
intimately
Sal,
aware of.
Oh, go ahead. And Sal, finish your thought, and then we'll have.
I was just gonna say, okay, Sal, like, oh yeah, finish the thought, because I'm being a little laggy.
No problem. Sal is, I just want to make sure, is aware of like the danger. If we're here, like, this is not a safe place for Kindred, right? I mean,
It's not really safe for anyone, quite frankly. Especially, I would say, not Kindred, given the fact that werewolves probably use the Umbra to traverse, to get into downtown. Whether your characters are consciously aware of that, or like that primal aware of it, where, you know, this is a hunting, like, I am prey here. This is where the hunters are, you know?
Yeah. Just trying to establish the mindset of like guiding Pix, who I see is incorporeal here, right? You had mentioned that.
Yeah. Like, you know, depending on your you know, characters' beliefs on astral form or astral travel, they would have some relevant version to themselves.
Okay.
So, you know, like, might be like the sort of silver strands back to the body type thing. It could be, you know, a orb, you know, floating. Whatever the, you know, there tends to be a sort of wobbliness to beliefs when they transfer planes and stuff. So whatever Pix's sort of understanding of astral projection might be, that's the form she would take here. But you recognize it like you recognize a friend. Like, this is Pix, right? Like,
Okay.
So you know that Pix is there in astral form. You also know that they're not astral, but like in a discorporated form. But she's not safe either. Like, you're in the place where things can very explicitly hurt you like this. This is the Shadowlands. This is This is the shadow. This is the Umbra. This is where ghosts, gods, spirits, shapeshifters, like, this is their turf.
Right.
You somehow pierced the gauntlet and made it on the other side of the veil. When you were coming down from that werewolf blood, when you're that moment where you're beast and your frenzy and you had kept it in control, whatever happened when when that electricity dispersed, it like sort of like almost like it blasted you sideways. Maybe your oblivion powers were just resonant. Maybe there's more to drinking werewolf blood. Or maybe there's one of those scars really close by. You're not quite certain. But you're here now. You know it wasn't intentional. And Pix is with you in some form.
Sal, I'm not into this whole Harry Potter shit. How do we go back? I don't like it here. I recognize it, but it's not right.
And stay close and let's move.
I don't need to hear that twice.
And Sal will set off in the direction of where he knows the tree to be, or at least the branch that he keeps at home, if that's closer. Thinking of that as the most likely point that he can get Pix out of here and himself. Because certainly aware I can't just step sideways and get back home.
Right. The Hubbard Park is going to be a little bit closer to where you happen to be downtown than heading all the way back to the east side. Because you were off Water Street, so you'd be...
Yep.
So, and I got the it's my understanding that you don't just like live right off like Brady Street or something. Like you live in the east side. So Hubbard Park is going to be closer, the tree proper. And this is where Pix would notice Sal sort of about faces and heads in the direction of the main two sort of root tethers beneath his feet, like he's sort of going with them.
Oh, god damn it, not this spooky botany bullshit. I mean, if it gets us back, and I'll just trot after him in my astral form.
Yeah, excellent. So, as y'all turn around, we're going to kind of go back in time a little bit elsewhere. We hear sort of muffled voices. We see a sort of modern museum art display. We see three familiar figures: Anastasia, Decker, Arjun Shaw. We see Lucy disappearing underneath the stairs somewhere off of the far side. We see the coterie, and we see Ben Sahar at the center of it. The coterie's voices trying to, plea with Decker, trying to reason with Decker, but it's all muffled, and we have Ben Sahar standing there, just like sort of isolated, almost like that Hitchcock zoom where the distance between them is a normal social amount, right? Couple steps, couple strides, but from Ben Sahar's perspective they're miles apart. Ben Sahar, why don't you describe your beast, what it would look like as it's sort of standing next to you in this moment?
So it's kind of got the sly car salesman type person where it's like whispering, like telling me that I need to get away from the control and I need to free myself from deal with Ellis, and I need to start investigating and figuring out some more about Arjun Shaw no matter what.
So Ben Sahar is a person who keeps up their appearance pretty well. Like almost every night Ben Sahar is rocking a different sort of high fashion, usually a little bit of alternative fashion, but always like the sort of the best of it, right? Whatever it is, if it's the asymmetrical goth jacket, right? Like if it's the custom Doc Martens that you can only order direct, and there's only like 100 pairs made. Whatever it is, Ben Sahar's got. So just to set sort of some contrast, some dichotomies, you might say, how would Ben Sahar, casting our mind back, what would maybe like a picturesque Ben Sahar be dressed like meeting the prince?
So in the past,
For us, this was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. So yeah, but now is what I'm concerned with.
So in the mind's eye, like where Ben is wearing a lot of the alternative stuff, the beast would be more of your almost look like an atypical Ventru business powers. Because usually when Ben is in control, he is a very like stoic person. But in recent weeks, he's had a lot of like cracks and facet of personality, and we've seen more of like emotional outbursts or more emotional like out. So in Ben's mind, like the ideal Ben is one that's in control, one that's not.
Well, your beast isn't
falling apart like this.
necessarily ideal, right? Like your beast.
Well,
is
in
a
my
little bit-
mind, that's what he would like present itself as, like
Yeah, okay.
because
it's gonna
it wants
lure
to
you.
make the bad ideas sound like a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So we've got this version of Ben Sahar, maybe even like the hair's different, right? Like slicked back, with like fucking widow's peak or something, and like the little tufts that like escape out in a couple wisps when Ben Sahar's beast starts to talk with like authority, and then it has to tuck the one wisp back, almost like a Patrick Bateman style, right? And we've got this like power suit, maybe with just a couple hints, like cracks in the skin that shows some darkness beneath, along like laugh lines or creases along the eyes that shows that this is unnatural, that you're staring into an uncanny valley version of Ben Sahar. And they're kind of leaning in next to Ben Sahar as Ben Sahar's in this conversation, and everything's going muffled around them as they're trying to sort of be in that conversation, pleading for Sera's life, as they're trying to be in that conversation. Hey, Sabat problem, and Ben Sahar is fighting this voice this whole time. And this isn't what the coterie necessarily saw. They saw Ben sort of clap back at Arjun Shah real quick and then leave in a hurry. And your beast leans in, kind of arms crossed behind the back, and that sort of, like nonchalant but in control posture, right? And leans next to Ben Sahar's ear and says, "Oh, think of the secrets. Look at every one of them. They all have secrets. You need them. You need them to have control." Do you say anything back, or are you trying to ignore the voice?
And internally is like, I need to know everything because then I can figure out what I need to do next. And I have this plan, and then I have this thing.
No,
and he's
no,
like,
no, you're speaking chaotic. This isn't how we control things. Think of the...
don't understand. I don't know anything. I don't know.
Right.
So I can't plan. So I can't make a plan. So I need to know, because then if I know stuff, there's more power to stuff. But first, I need to get rid of Elias. He's the one that's stopping me from getting and doing all this stuff.
You're right. Elias is holding the leash. If we take out Elias, we take the leash. And
Exactly.
We're in control again. To get all the secrets we need to establish a proper order, not this fake order, the Camarilla, or those contrarians, those hypocrites, the anarchs. Real control, the only kind that matters. Sweet, sweet chaos, baby. Everyone to their primal form.
Also, one thing I just thought of too that really irritates me about all this like current Camarilla control. My grandsire was a literal fucking god, and here I am listening to this shit, having these people fucking tell me what to do.
Oh, they underestimate you. They don't know what you're capable of. You should show them. Think of what you could show them. I bet you we could rule this city. They don't even know what a real war is. We know. We've seen enough. We've stared the tempest.
So I need to figure out, get rid of Ellis. Lucy can tell me where Ellis is. I also need to get
What
Nails.
secrets she
Nails
must
can help
know.
me with this, and he can't say anything. Right? He won't say anything. He's a good accomplice in this.
Your beast sort of like leans back, the arms that have been clasped behind the back the whole time. Does one of those, sort of thoughtful, strokes of the features, and then snaps and points at you. Nails. Yeah, that one, that old bastard. They owe you, or he owes you, doesn't he?
He does.
He said no killing, but I'm sure a Malkavian of his age, and did you see that in his eyes? He knows secrets only we know, in ways only we can know them.
If he doesn't have to kill anybody, because all I need him to do is help me incapacitate Ilias, because then we can always use Ilias for more stuff and get more power, more secrets, more
control. Yeah, I like that. We should get out of here. But just look at that fucking smug bastard. He wouldn't even know he wouldn't even expect your sword right now. Just kill him in front of them all. They'll have no choice but to offer you up his post, right? Right? They'll respect you. Kill him. Right now, right here. Why wait? Why foreplay?
because we can get them all.
It's at this moment where Ben Sahar in that scene from a couple weeks ago would have turned, walked out, and the coterie was unable to get a hold of them for the next couple evenings. So in the meantime, you have since contacted Nails. You've called in your boon. And you've laid a plot into motion to confront Elias. Why don't you take us through it and the audience through what Ben Sahar intends to do?
So I'm intending to have Elias come to my house into where underneath in the basement area, and that is where we intend to do the ambush.
Okay. How are you going to? Why are you you're inviting Elias to your haven? Well, one of them. Under any pretense?
Mostly just to do an update on things that I found. It's basically under the premise of an update, and that I've changed my mind about pursuing the blood bond.
All right. Well, that's great. You, of course, you wouldn't want to, go back on the arrangement. I'm glad you came to your senses, Ben. I knew you would. So, Elias agrees to meet you at your haven. And we are going to quickly cut back to Sera and Cass. It's been a few moments. Salvatore hasn't shown up, and Pix is... It's not quite torpor. Seems a lot closer to the day sleep, but she's not really stirring. You can sense, unlife there. You have that familiarity with each other, right? You are a coterie after all. But you have the Sabbat who is in torpor. You have some folks that might be getting curious as that sort of dampening from earlier, that noise, that sort of that lack of noise that barrier from before has dissipated with the when you took out the lupine. So it's, I mean, it's not far, much further away from here, and there's like an ambulance and like a couple cop cars from the scene of an accident, and some bystanders are gonna notice a Honda, CRT flipped on its side, a wrecked black sedan, and a van, not to mention the bullet holes here pretty soon. You have a problem. You have a couple problems starting to pile up. Sera, you're still maybe a little frantic from what just unfolded, from the fuck did I just make fucking tentacles and rip a car in half? Like, fucking werewolves? Jesus, like this whole, scene, but you've had time to control, get back in control and get your senses. You're a fighter after all, You've tasted tear gas and asked for more in some of your best sort of moments of organization and civil rights protests and stuff like that. So you're not unfamiliar with cops showing up to a scene of chaos type thing. That makes sense to you. Maybe the werewolves don't, but that makes sense to you. And Cass, you have an understanding that you either have evidence, or you've got a lead to some evidence in the form of maybe a Sabbat body. And we had a off-screen conversation about the vibe, the read on Thomas. There's an honesty to Thomas. Thomas doesn't like you. And in a world where Kindred pretend to like each other until they, stab each other in the back, like they'll be nice to your face while sharpening a stake, behind their back, right? There's kind of a, I don't know, refreshing douchebaggery to Thomas. He doesn't like you. He makes it known, but you're not certain he was saying anything of real consequence other than fucking with some people in his way to what he considers to be a real problem. Lupine, a war, right? You didn't get the sense that he was very concerned with Sabbat for one reason or another, whether he believes that they're real in the city, or whether he thinks that they're sort of like just not that big a deal. They've been stomped once before, they'll be stomped again. It's these werewolves we got to worry about, right? Like that's kind of the vibe you got from him. And maybe he was mocking you when he said, "Oh, there's your evidence," type thing. Like, "Oh, cute, you've got evidence." Like,
Gotcha.
Check Pix's pockets.
I'll let you roll. Actually, I was gonna have you do this anyway. You have Sense the Unseen?
I sure do.
Roll. Go ahead and roll it.
So this would be wits.
Wits aspects plus half your blood potency dice, rounded down. I think it might be Sense the Unseen might have its own pool. Hang on, let me double check. Did I see a new chatter show up too as I'm going to look up disciplines?
Cass is gonna look over real quick at Sera. Is she like freaking out?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, it's
Kinda like coming down.
Hey, Green Bean, could you see if Jimmy's car still works? We gotta get out of here.
What were you supposed to do about Pixie and where's Sal?
I'm not too worried.
She's not breathing.
I'm not too worried about Sal. Little bit. Yeah, we gotta take her, and we gotta take the evidence. We gotta get out of here.
So you're going to be rolling a resolve in Auspex. This is an active dice pool, so you can add half your blood potency rounded down to it. If you have a higher than 1 blood potency, I don't know necessarily who in the coterie might have boosted their blood potency at this point. Howdy, Rin. Yes, Jimmy's car miraculously works. It doesn't have a windshield, and the hood is dented, and the roof is dented. But if you don't mind
Sal left
scrunching...
the keys in it.
Sal left the keys in it. Like the one door falls off as you the driver's side door falls off as you get in. But it moves, and I mean, look, the Sabat's already loaded in the windshield. You just pull them into the passenger seat, and boom.
Then I'll roll forward to where Cass is, and do we want to put her in the back seat in the trunk?
We'll put her in the back seat.
And then you roll a resolve and Auspex plus. Yeah.
I got 6 successes.
You sort of glance sideways for a moment. Maybe you tap into the Madness Network for a minute or whatever it is, but you get the sensation of that sort of like that shadow overlaid on Milwaukee. And you make out sort of two forms within. Now, time and distance are a little wonky, but you make out sort of two forms in the direct vicinity, and you swear you hear Little Bat's voice saying something about her pockets.
Sera, check little Bat's pockets.
Do we have time for that? The sirens are getting closer. Can you check them when we get both of you in the car? Get moving?
Yeah, we can do that. I think they're gonna be alright. They're just taking a detour to Ghost Town for a little bit.
I have no idea what that means, but I'll take your word for it.
Sal's like good friends with Casper, you know? Like, he will explain it better. We should go to Club Anything, or at least near there, and then try to catch up with Ben. They might know what to do.
Okay, I've been there maybe once or twice. Can you give directions? Do you have GPS on your phone?
No. But I know where it is. I think I remember where it is.
You could roll a streetwise and intelligence to remember where Club Anything is. It's not exactly your scene, so I'm going to give you a 1 dice penalty. Just Cass has a lot going on in his memories.
Then that's 1 success.
You're pretty sure you know the neighborhood.
All right. Well, we'll at least get to that neighborhood.
All right, sounds good. We'll do our best.
Most important question of the scene: who's driving? Who's actually driving?
I will.
Okay. All right. So then I suppose you got Sabat, passed out in the passenger seat. Cass kind of riding in the back with Pix. Is that my understanding? And Sera driving? All right. So then you begin headed towards, Cass sort of gestures, mentions like the rough neighborhood. And Pix, what does Cass find in Pixie's pockets?
Firstly, Batty, of course, I think at this point, may have not gotten crushed. So, you reach in, she pops out, she'll probably angrily squeak and then scurry back in. A few random tech parts that are covered in rust. They're pretty cracked and damaged, but in her back pocket, there is this bright pink phone case with Hello Kitty on it. And I want to hopefully say that the phone is undamaged. but it looks
yeah,
like
it's
it's
good.
been used recently.
Yeah, it should work. Yeah, the screen might be like, busted up, busted up a bunch, but it works.
Okay, so yeah, Cass will just sort of like mutter, like look at her phone and kind of mutter over it, and then just like try handing it to Batty.
You can control your familius in the scene. I love RPing Batty, but that's usually
I love the way you do her as well, but I think Batty is just going to look at Cass, look at the phone, look back at Cass, give a series of supersonic tiny little squeaks of anger, maybe like, what the fuck do you expect me to do, and bat, and then just immediately crawl back into Pixie's pocket.
What's going on back there?
Cass, you understand all of that. Like, played as like it almost sounds like you'd imagine like Pixie's like angrier older sister talking. Like you just it's like eeping and subsonic eeps and stuff like that, and squeeping and the little like that sort of little like snuffle noise that bats make sometimes, and you have a conversation with it, like in pretty traditional Malkavian fashion.
Cass will explain that in his Malkavian world that Pixie's okay, but she's in the ghost world now, and I thought I heard her voice telling me to find whatever's in her pocket.
Yeah, I kind of felt her too. All right, listen here, fuckwit. So passcode to her phone is 4221. If you want to get in there, I don't know if you know how to use it, Boomer, but like, don't let her die.
Boomer. Castle just kind of like dryly laugh, and he'll put in the passcode.
It's inaccurate because Cass is probably greatest generation, but it's accurate because he was an EOD expert. Oh, that's getting cut out of the podcast. Passcode it works. Phone turns on. Sera, you hear Cass like eeping and chirping from the back seat, and then he just like grabs the phone, chuckles, says, you hear him say "boomer," and like, oh.
Is the rear view mirror still in place, or did that get taken
Luck
out when
check. Luck check.
1d10, right?
Yep.
If you only knew how much Jimmy polishes that mirror.
Yeah,
We
we're
need
going
to have a Jimmy revenge arc.
going physical for this one. 8.
It happens to be there. Yeah. It just
Just kind of hanging on by a wire.
Yeah, it's it'd be glued to the windshield, and like the windshield's like cracked and crunched and stuff like that, but that chunk of windshield's like hanging down in like a little U,
Yeah, I'll put my hand up, grab it, and kind of adjust it, see what's going on back there. Not sure what to make of all that, and then just eyes back on the road and trying to get
you
to
see
where we have to go.
Yeah, you see Cass like with a Hello Kitty phone or something like that, and I think you said Hello Kitty. You see like Cass with a Hello Kitty phone and this like little bat like popping up out of Pix's like pocket, like with its little like hooked fingers on the like breast pocket, and just kind of like mean mugging this vampire, I guess. Like its ears cocked back, with the oversized ears cocked back, and like the little beady eyes like wide and intense, and it's kind of got to lurch forward.
So, what you doing back there?
Oh, Batty here is helping me unlock the Hello Kitty.
Oh, Okay. When we get to where we're going, what do we do with them? Trying to change the subject because still not making sense.
It's becoming apparent to Sera one night, 2 nights in, that this Cass fella, in a world that's kind of messed up, that you're realizing is way more messed up than you realized before you knew vampires were real and stuff, Cass seems particular messed up in a unique way. Like, you maybe have, some folks with like some sort of like a mental illness or something, and it's not quite even like that. Like, yeah, he's got some affect of like the 1,000-yard stare, and like some of the telltale signs of a military veteran, especially from like some of the older wars and stuff like that. But there's just something else going on there.
It's quirky.
Yeah, quirky. We'll call it that. So you get headed towards Club Anything, or at least the Walker's Point neighborhood, and we're going to step sideways with Pix and Salvatore, who have now made their way down the block a little bit, or maybe it's been several blocks. They're headed back toward Hubbard Park. They have a little bit of a jaunt ahead of them. When you notice that sort of you're walking down the streets, as I mentioned, the buildings before, they have these little sort of like fingers and these these pools of shadow that sort of cling and hang loosely to most of the buildings, and you hear whispers sort of coming from them as you pass, discordant, indistinguishable, almost conversational. Like when a conversation in a room kind of distorts into just tongues, right? Language is occurring. You can pick up intonation sometimes, but it's indiscernible. You can maybe try to focus in on like one voice and maybe pick out a real word here and there, but as you try to do that, it becomes cacophonous. It gets a little maddening. It gets a little overwhelming to the senses, both of yours. And so by 2 or 3 more blocks, you've learned to kind of try not to pay attention to them. But then you hear one on its own sort of pierce through. Not so much hear as feel the voice. You press upon your skin, on your temples, and make its way into your head. Sal, you recognize this voice. It's a voice you haven't heard since the rave. No hope here, it says. And you can look in an alleyway and you see this sort of gnarled, tall, slender form with its, joints in its form, just a little twisted, a little off. It does that thing where it always seems a little sprightly, a little two-dimensional, that sort of like moves and shifts with you, whatever perspective you're at. You always kind of get that shadow form pointing toward you, and it gives this weird illusion of 3 dimensions to this twisted, like almost like a child's black crayon drawing trying to draw the boogeyman, just in all scribbles, right? And that's what's looming, leering at you, towering simultaneously above you, but also making perfect eye contact with you. It stays in the alley. It doesn't step out into the street with you both. And Pixie, you hear the voice too. It's feel the voice too.
I think Pix, just out of instinct, as she, sees the spooky shit go down, she reaches for Cass's arm for comfort.
Cass isn't beside you where you expect him to be. Cass, back in the car, you feel this like grip on your forearm closest to where Pix's body is, and you maybe see like a little involuntary twitch of her hand. It doesn't
But like in spirit form.
Yeah.
Like I am looking at Sal and that thing, and then back. That's not like a demon or something, right? Is it gonna eat us?
We need to keep moving. That is a talon.
No hope here.
God, it's fucking edgy. Is your tree gonna take us back?
Yes. Quickly, move.
All right, I'm hurrying.
Sal will almost push Pixie forward down the sidewalk or street.
All right, as you rush past it, you don't see it move. It's just as the sort of camera almost pans alongside and is broken up by, street light that's obviously giving off no light. It's then behind you.
Sal will whirl around, interposing himself between Pixie and what he thinks is the talon.
Why call me that? Us. Me, us, that.
It is the name that I have been told you carry.
Talon.
There's more of you?
5, 6.
3, 9.
Then what should I call you?
What they call me, us. Intruder.
What are you looking for here?
Everything. Nothing. Nothing. So much nothing. And you hear the shadows around those ones clinging to the buildings, the fingers echo now. The tongues, you can, between these blurs of sound, make out them calling back nothing, nothing, nothing over and over again. You've seen it. All nothing.
Pixie, we need
Yes,
to go now.
You both feel
Okay, and
the mounting danger as it lifts its hands, and you get the sort of reality breaking of it reaching from its sort of two-dimensional form into three-dimensional as this claw, this taloned hand with these sort of infinitely extending fingers reach toward you, and you can see they cast a shadow in all directions on the walls of the buildings beside, on that fucked up mirror ceiling above that is the sky, and on the ground. And as it does that, its thumb sort of in front of it tears one of these scars into the street. And then you see, in stark contrast to it, this shadow, this darkness, pallid, unnaturally white skin, with its own just oversized, inhuman hands, and almost like, sort of like where the skin would peel away for like where Nails should be. It's sort of more like a beast's claws, sort of one and then another on the ground before it, and this form, its body just a torso, equally oversized, just sort of viscera trailing behind it as it comes through this shadow. It's about the size of like a pickup truck. On these two hands. It has this elongated face that just has almost mournful eye sockets and a maw that is permanently agape with this sort of like radial teeth, almost like a wood chipper's, organic wood chipper even. And it starts clumsily at first, one hand, then another, moving toward you, and then with an alarming, clumsy grace, it sort of teeters to one side. And as you are certain it's about to topple over, it's almost like inertia warps with it, and then it catches itself on the other, and then it starts picking up the pace, and it's running at you. It lets out this horrible screech, and as you, already in motion to run from the hand, pick up your pace in kind, and we are in Ben Sahar's basement. Elias, looking across at the statue, a rather distinctive bowl, if you will. Would you like to describe or reset the scene for us? So, folks, give us a scene of Ben Sahar's basement. As Elias says, I'm glad you came to your senses. You're muted.
Do that.
There we go.
All right. So the chamber is basically, like I mentioned before, it was a recreation of the French catacombs. So there's bones and stuff all along the sides. There's two large pillars, like kind of on the third line, like if you're going to divide the room into thirds. There's a large brazier in the center. We had the two side wells, and then of course on the back wall, the furthest from the entrance in, is a giant brass statue of a man sitting cross-legged with his hands out and the head of a bull.
You know, normal Tremere shit.
Yeah. With Mesopotamian origins.
You can feel the motion of RJ upstairs somewhere in the wine cellar where like the false cask is that, or the false fridge rather, is that leads into this chamber, and Nels is nowhere to be seen, but you're fairly confident Nels is there per arrangements you just made. You have this like, you know, post-it burning in your pocket, you know, where he agreed, you know, in writing, and Elias. So, I suppose we should get this over with, Elias says, and goes to lift up his wrist.
I'm gonna go ahead and walk like towards him, and I was gonna like lean over, like in a more submissive pose.
Okay. It's at this moment Elias freaks out and like steps back away from you. What are you doing here? How? And he's staring you dead in the eyes. But he's not seeing you. As the thing Elias fears the most inside, the darkest secret Elias keeps, manifests itself upon you. And you see Nails sort of standing, you know, suddenly just sort of off to the side, eyes intensely fixed on Elias. As if he's staring through Elias's, like, ear straight into his brain.
So as Elias starts to back up, I'm going to go ahead and step forward. I'm going to use the ritual porta item to bring the sword to hand. And as I continue stepping towards him, I'm going to do a slice across the hand to coat the blade with some blood, and then take a stab towards the center mass area of Elias.
As you do this, so you can rouse because you're activating a blood sorcery ability.
Yep.
The room around you as nails a Methuselah Malkavian with, quite frankly, some old school style dementation powers.
The good stuff.
The good shit, right? The reality around, not only do we see, Elias, whatever Elias is freaking out at, which the camera will always manage to hide, by the way, a trick of proper horror. The room, however, becomes affected by this high usage of dementation from nails, and your basically basement is sort of jettisoned, like it looks like it's just sort of jettisoned actually into a desert suspended above, like with racing stars and moon above, and you're maybe somewhere over like a desert. You can see like sort of a ruined city below, and as you're sort of getting this sort of like this, free fall through time and space, glimpses of what might be memories from nails of a cave similar to this, of like infernalists, of pools and pyres of black flame, from a time long, long ago, begin to populate the terrain. And as that sort of out of time and space chunk of land that you are on, with the infinitely racing stars and moon above, blur into nothingness, you're in an entirely different cave. Again, similar. But is this the real deal? Jesus.
I'll have to ask him about that later.
And you see, as you're maybe pulling your blade back, you look past Elias, and you see a lone Nails sitting in a plain, sort of wooden chair of rather ancient design, currently sort of staked to it with Kabbalists surrounding him. And you see a shadow of what can only be described as a pure monster of the flesh beginning to menace them. And you're sort of getting this snippet from time, and then it's gone like a wisp, like air, as you draw your blade back. What do you do to Elias?
Well, he's not paying attention. I'm gonna go ahead and take a straight sternum shot with the sword, because my intention is to do enough damage to him to where I can stake him, because I am not trying to destroy him.
So you basically want to crack the hard candy shell with a good sword blade attack so that you can follow it up.
Absolutely.
All right. So the initial attack in his sort of dark stare down, seeing the most horrible thing, will count as an ambush with advantage. So you'll be attacking at difficulty 1 for the defense. Plus you'll enjoy an additional die for the assist.
Yeah, we got lots of dice for this then. We have 13 dice.
And I remembered that adventure, Sam. There was a Bali cave way back in the Dark Ages campaign.
Way back in the day.
I vaguely remembered. I don't remember it being. Was it Bali?
It was Bali. You fought a demon at the end of it. They actually got the summon off, and you both diablerized a bunch of like Bali cultists.
So 12 successes plus the 3 for the sword damage itself.
All right, so we take out the 1 for the defense. So that's 15, is that 14 then?
Yep.
You just
Then
plunge.
and then he'll also have the save against the blood.
Yep. So you're gonna roll that because the difference of your blood sorcery plus ganked by Dobby giving me disadvantage on concentration.
He's got that effect on people.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 successes on that.
All right, 4 successes on that. I have a quick reference sheet that I made and everything for these powers that are opposed, and I'm still scrolling through the book like a boss. Swallow sadness like a boss.
So much sadness.
Okay.
Now I have so many questions.
So it's a stamina occult. All right.
Feels so good to get this sword out.
You will do an additional non-halved point of damage for the difference. You added your blood sorcery rounded down to that pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or sorry, your blood potency rounded down to that pool. Yeah. Okay. So. Elias felt that. So I'm going to, in dramatic fashion, have y'all roll for initiative. Nails will automatically go last on account of basically about to be switching into a different dementia. Now, you're still the object Elias fears the most, so they will be operating at a penalty in basically everything they do. 3. All right. So Elias, with the pain, the searing pain in the chest of not just blade puncturing their form, but also this corrosive vitae, this scorpion's blood, right, piercing their torso, realizes that the danger is very real and that they must fight or die. So they sort of go to reach back. You manage to get in another strike before Elias's axe, though.
All right. Is this still going to be difficulty 1 or is this going to be regular?
With the penalty, it's not difficulty 1 anymore. It's going to be opposed, but there's a penalty from staring at this horror creature that you are to them.
7 successes.
All right. Take out those dice. All right. So it's going to be another 8 with the +3 from the sword. And then the blood sorcery.
Just 3.
Just 3. 2 unhalved additional damage.
When I heard 14 die, I kind of shit myself. I'm like, oh no. Well, let's not get on Ben's bad side now.
There's a reason Ben Sahar was waiting their whole life for this moment with the sword.
I'm like walking around with my sword going, I have a sword. I hit something.
Look, casting sword, it never gets old. It doesn't. Such an edgelord. All right, with that second blow, you sort of like do one of those things where you sort of like ram the sword in Elias. And like Elias still just this look of terror you've never seen in Elias's face. Like they've seen the the devil themselves or someone even worse from their past. And then you just sort of like do a classic like sort of like halfway in, they begin to like sort of rear up, you see claws beginning to form, and then you just plunge it even deeper, and Elias falls on your blade, just hunches over.
I'm gonna like guide him down and like push him on his back.
A playing card, just like 4 of diamonds or something like that, is just like on the floor in front of you, and it says, "We're even." It's in Nails' handwriting, and you don't see Nails anymore in the room. You're back in your basement. Whatever that vision was is gone. And Nails is just... as if Nails can vanish in plain sight, too. And
So, as... in a cutscene again, or...
No, it's we can probably cut back to... well, we'll finish up your deal. We'll actually just finish the scene off in general. I expected Elias to put up some fight. I wasn't expecting 14 dice to, like, kind of all land. But here we are. So,
I mean, it's your fault. You gave me, like, all the bonus, like...
I would say it is a plan coming to full fruition by getting a Methuselah, getting a boon from a Methuselah Malkavian. By, doing a solid for your coterie homie and waking up their emotional support vampire, but also getting a boon out of it. So boon collected or boon satisfied. Nails is a free man, and that might be even scarier than Elias.
So we'll grab Elias by his foot and drag him over to the place where we woke up Nails, and we will begin to start doing some other dark voodoo shit.
Do you want to the camera's here? Do you want to clue in the audience on what you might be doing here?
Well, the big spooky thing, the Talon, I'm gonna make a deal with it, and I'm gonna use Elias as the tradesies.
In the scene, we hear out loud, like, a voice sort of snuff out all the candles around, save for the 2 pools of blood on the altars on either side that have this, like, now erupt into this black sort of shadow flame. A shadow flame that kind of looks reminiscent of the shadows that were seen in the Umbra. All right, you're striking a chord. You're going forward even with the information I just gave you? Yeah? Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. So now we are back with Cass and Sera pulling up toward Club Anything. It's been a hell of a night, and it's like the one scene in Pulp Fiction, right? Like where they pull up. Just this like beaten up car, and Club Anything would be open at the moment. It's another night for Club Anything. Tyler at their podium. Probably a local band tonight, kind of a dull night. Well, not dull night, but it's not a marquee night, right? It's a weekday, I think it is.
By podium, do you mean like valet podium outside or like host?
No,
podium
inside, like a host podium inside. You sort of like when you walk inside, there's like not so much a host like podium, but like a platform.
Yeah.
And then there's the bar behind that runs the flank of Club Anything, and then it's got the clock at the back and some stairs going up into the sort of lofts and then back into the back offices and such. The smoke machines are going tonight. There's some neon lighting, and it's it's pretty decent, like sort of local jazz band, so that we could have jazz music playing in the background for the chase scene going on later.
I will pull over before we get there once I see it. It's like, now what? Pull up front with the car, the person beside me, Pixie in the back. What do we do? Where are we going?
Cass, I'm gonna have you roll I just like the idea of trying to keep your wits about you, so I'm going to have you roll a wits and streetwise.
Two successes.
You have an understanding that Ben Sahar has a decent working relationship with Tyler. You're even aware that Tyler is a Toreador Kindred, and they've, in the past, made problems go away. It might not actually be the worst idea to Cass, it occurs, to pull the vehicle up in the back alley, tell Tyler that you have a problem, and let them take care of it. Like, this is some old school Kindred shit here. Who knows what, like, Ben, you might need to negotiate some terms with Ben Sahar if Ben Sahar is here for using Tyler. You may need to negotiate with Tyler themselves. But you know that Tyler deals with problems for Ben Sahar.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Cass would find Tyler and
so
you know,
Sera has the lingering question of what to do with the car, basically, and
just well, it'll get taken care of too. Well, we'll worry about that in a little bit.
Should I stick with the car while you go inside, or?
Yeah. I don't think Batty can handle it all on her own. Sorry, Batty. Yeah.
Yeah, you fucking asshole.
So, all right. Yeah, so you essentially like pull into the alley alongside Club Anything. You leave yourself an out. Classic driver etiquette.
Find a dark spot in between the streetlights.
Oh, there's plenty of those around Club Anything. Almost like the owner or realtor or whomever is in charge of the property likes a couple extra shadows around the place. For the ambiance. It's for the ambiance.
And now there's one more.
All right. Yeah, the lights actually flicker as you drive under them. The ones that are on. And then Cass gets out, heads in through the side door. You see Tyler at their normal place up at the front of house.
All right. Cass will beeline it towards him.
Paint me a picture with words. How does Cass look after battling a werewolf? How's like what's the garb? What's the vibe? Like, I want to see Cass walk into this Club Anything where there's like a local jazz quartet, like kind of jamming. You know, it's pretty good shit. They got the horn going, like the drum. You know, they've even brought in like a slide guitar, jazz guitar. You know.
Well, Cass would have blood all over him. Just like splattered across his face, kind of run down. It's drying by now.
Starting to turn that sort of brownish color, right? You know, that in between the burgundy brown, because it's been a while.
Yeah, and I guess like I didn't really take damage, so his clothes would be just like disheveled. I think like you'd maybe be able to see the blood, but like a bunch of the hair would be in his face too.
It's like matted to it.
Yeah.
So like Cass normally has a beard, and so then you have this like on your cheeks and like up around the face and the eyes, and even to the front of the fatigues, and because you wear like an old army jacket, and you know, and like just tufts of werewolf fur have clumped and caked in with the blood, and you're walking in on a chill, Thursday night, Thirsty Thursday, right? With his jazz quartet and seasoned Milwaukeeans, like glance back at their beverages, and the average one doesn't even notice they're just like in their conversation. But a few of the college kid transplants, who are from elsewhere and come here for college, linger on staring at Cass just as he walks past, just watching him. And Tyler, who likes to run a tight ship, just Cass, yes, over here. Kind of leads you over towards the edge of the bar and makes sure that you're facing sort of like in, as Tyler is facing you, and then like out. You can't come in here like this.
I just did. Oh, you mean in the future? All right. Well, it's kind of an emergency. We need to find Ben. And we have a problem that needs taking care of.
What? Apart from new clothes?
Yeah, we got possible spots that we're gonna need as evidence. Torpor and the little bat is ghost walking with Sal, and yeah, we just need a place to lay low and I guess clean up. Also, the green bean's with me, so. And there's and Jimmy's car. You gotta. Man, he's gonna. I feel bad about the car, but we had to do it anyways, and we gotta make the car hide. Camo the car.
You want me to hide a car?
There's a garage or something around here. Isn't there someplace we can put it out of sight?
I've got a place in mind. I can take care of that. And yeah, Ben's been. They're not right. They've been in their office all night. I've never quite seen them this way. I'll take care of the car, and my God, I will make sure that you are fixed up. What size are you? About says dead on guesses the size of clothing, is exactly correct.
I prefer one size larger, actually, so, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
I mean, you've got that physique under there. You really wouldn't. Fine. Look, I'll take care of the car. You said it's. Glances. Cass, I'm going to. I'm sorry, but I'm going to need something from you in the future. Apart from the not walking in here like this. Just a small token. Real trite, really thing. Just a favor down the line, we'll call it. A boon. Minor one.
Yeah, sure. Sure, I can do that.
The usual rate for Ben Sahar. Okay.
I'm not gonna have to do a ritual, am I?
No, minor. I didn't ask for a major.
Oh, so like getting a goat for the ritual. Okay, yeah, I can get you some goats.
To be determined. Go on, head upstairs. There's past Ben's office. There's another little further past it. Head that way. Champagne room, but it'll do.
Alrighty. Yeah. Sera's in the car.
I'll make sure she's taken care of in the car as well.
Right. All right. Yeah. Sorry about. Yep. And Cass will just like turn on his heel and go up.
Yeah. So we're gonna cut to. We'll cut to. I think for one last time we'll cut to. because I'm sensing some outs here from part of the coterie. We'll cut to Sal and Abby racing away from this ghoulish, ghastly creature. The shadow form, the intruder, the nothing, whatever it was, stayed back, and this thing has been sort of, galloping after you. This sort of inertial, clumsy ballet it does of stalking its prey as y'all rush. And we're going to sort of shift into a little bit of a challenge here. We're looking for totals of dice over a time frame. Should you fall beneath a certain threshold, you're caught. And we'll figure out what that means should that happen. So, dexterity or stamina would denote your sort of like runningness now, and some form of athletics basically would be the other portion of it. And you're both going to be rolling stamina or dexterity plus athletics. If you have any disciplines to augment your movement, let me know.
Oh boy. Am I able to rouse my blood in my astral form?
You're allowed to do some, we're going like Matrix rules here. Your mind makes it real. Like back in the like we cut to like Tyler like in this really nice sort of like crushed like red suit, with the like black lapels, folded out. Just great, just like just red, beautiful velvet jacket with the sort of black silk lapels, like picking up Pix, stark contrast in her like dirty hoodie, and like maybe get a little bit of a twinge as like Pix rouses her blood. So I'd say just in a woo sense, yeah. Technically, you're allowed to use disciplines unless you're in the null zone. If should a vampire end up in the Umbra, you're allowed to. So we're gonna say yeah, it flies.
Oh boy! All right, succeeded that. So I will make that roll then.
Okay.
This is actually terrifying. I am not enjoying how like on edge.
I love to see what Charlotte does with the sound design of this
right.
in like 20 years when she gets to it.
3 successes.
All right.
7 successes with a very messy critical.
Oh no, you just throw Pix aside, don't you?
Sal, your beast, sensing this, I mean, it's kind of maybe fun danger for your beast. How does your beast manifest in the Umbra in this sort of moment? And you have Pix noticeably lagging behind, but your beast isn't concerned with her.
I think it's a combination of the beast and the tree. Like I start to sense the proximity, and it's almost as if I'm, traveling along the root system. The beast and the tree are working as one.
That makes
knowing
sense.
What I really want here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna like. There's moments where like you're sort of like between bounds, like kind of rushing, and like you can almost feel the pull of this root structure toward the tree, and you even see like moments where you sort of like skip forward because we're in woo woo land. You almost like a mini celerity as this tree sort of like bursts you forward in these little sort of clips in between the blinks of the eye of Pix, and you're getting noticeably. Almost like more. You've closed almost more than half the distance, you might say, that she has. It's sort of like two times it, and then a little bit more, like if mathematically speaking. And that thing is gaining on her. But your beast doesn't care right now, by the way. Just doesn't even care. Sal might in a moment when the sort of status of the beast wears off, but for the moment, Pix. You can feel its breath. You can hear its teeth gnashing. Its breath is cold. So cold. The opposite of what you'd expect of a predator in the Shadowlands, or maybe exactly what you should. And you could hear those teeth sort of like churning and gnashing. Like I said, I used the wood chipper before, and it almost has that like mechanical whine to the teeth as this maw just sort of like undulates and jostles as it's jogging toward you.
Oh, that is terrifying. And it's weird feeling cold. I have felt cold for so many months now. To feel that chill again, that primal chill. God, I just hope I can get out of here alive or whatever I am.
Both of you roll again.
I'm once again going to rouse my blood.
I'm going to spend a willpower to reroll.
Okay.
I could do that by, yep.
Fingers crossed. Oh, god damn it.
Oof.
That's 2 successes.
2 for me.
Pix. Sal, you can see the woods ahead. You see the bridge. Maybe get a little smile as you remember fond memories of that bridge. You can reach it. You're just a couple paces, a good final. You're falling behind, and you can feel your stamina, and you're getting a little winded, and like it's one of those like I could fall here and just let it take me, or I could push a little bit, but it's right there. Meanwhile, you sort of like the beast sort of voice buzzing in your head. Yeah, we're almost free. Let's get out of here. I mean, we can mess this thing up later, but it might be way more fun to bind it, right? Find a fetter. Yeah. Your beast.
No, I don't care about that shit. I just want to go now.
That's Sal's beast talking to them. But you do, in this moment, think to look back, and Pix, this thing's gonna get her. Unless she just has some burst of speed. She's got something in her you've never seen before. It's got her dead to rights. It'll be on her for sure soon. You can hit that tree line. Pix is gonna need a miracle. She's going to need to do something drastic because it's on top of her. Its head is looming over her. She's, 5-0. This thing's like 10 feet tall. That mouth could take her in one bite.
All right. I think I'm going to willpower reroll that roll.
So we're going to we have another roll. Sal, you have another roll or a decision to make here.
All right, willpower. Please be nice. That's no successes.
In dramatic fashion, Pix looking back, she looks up and she can see these teeth, like I said, almost like a circle saw, right? Gnashing inside this organic mouth, and it's got these wispy sort of clear hairs that come down and sort of like distort into vapor as they get super long, and they kind of do that ring thing, right, where the hair just hangs in the face. You fall. You sort of were looking back, you caught the teeth, you maybe caught a glint of its almost sad, mournful eyes behind its hair, and you weren't looking where you were going, and who the fuck knew? Goddamn Umbra has trash cans too. And just pow, tumble over some of them. The lids fall off and evaporate into shadow and go upward as like the forms crumple in their sort of pallid silver, like off washed out color manner. And Pix is just, it's one hand, foot, hand, yeah, boom, slams on one side in front of you and the other. Sal, you got a decision and you got one dice roll left to make in you.
And Sal charges towards the thing kind of leaping over Pix. I know Lethal Body won't work here as the player, but Sal is activating his potence, which he knows only works against mortals.
So, a couple things happen. We'll wait for next week. As Sal leaps toward it, and like we almost see it sort of expectantly turn its maw towards Sal and go to clunch down, and we don't see if it catches him or not, but we do hear Pix let out a scream. Sal would really like to be on October. October is best month. That's like the coveted. I think y'all have to fight
spooky
out.
month. I know, but
Oh
like,
man.
Yeah.
Now I want to know what every character's zodiac sign is.
Yep. I want to know, like, dear audience, dear family, what if you could put the coterie, including Elizabeth, maybe throw in nails? What other like sort of NPCs would you consider in like the extended coterie, just so we can like get a couple extra months? Sundown. Okay, Sundown's in the extended coterie. Yep. We got Sundown.
We need like a sexy like champagne bath for him.
Yeah, yes, champagne bath Sundown. Oh, it's perfect because like it's like a weird call, and like there's like the bathroom that Sundown is in is like rustic decor. So it's like a farmhouse decor, so it evokes a bridge somewhere in there. But the champagne bath. So like what for the coterie members? Like leave it in the down there part in the comments on the video. Get at us on Twitter, whatever it is. What do you think the coterie members' months would be, including Sundown, maybe Nails? We'll throw in Issa. I think Issa's
Definitely Issa, please. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.